Hi students, welcome to week 4 of our Math 241 online. This is going to be a really great week. Although last week's art projects were so much fun, I hope you had a great time looking at them. This week we're going to combine two new things. One is looking at teacher.desmos.com and the other one is looking at the geometry within it. And the reason I'm spending some time on the geometry part is that as teachers, especially high school teachers, but middle school teachers too, you need to come up with some diagrams that look good. So you want to be able to know, what the correct answers are. So the activity today is going to first involve developing a lesson in teacher.desmos.com, but also using the actual questions that I used on a recent final exam from Math 240 or Math 141 pre-calculus. So hopefully all of you have taken that, but even if it's been a while since you took pre-calculus, Desmos geometry enables you to do these sketches, even if you don't remember, say, the law of sines or something like that. So I'm going to type in teacher.desmos.com. And then what you're going to do is make a custom one. Now, if you haven't logged in before, the first thing, custom won't show up here. So the first thing you have to do is log in. So you're going to log in and you're going to create a teacher account probably with your Google address. That's the easiest way, but you can do it however you like. So you want to click on custom and then you want to create a new activity. So, well, I can call this, assignment, I think it's number 7. Did I spell that wrong? It's IGNMENT, geometry, or whatever you want to call it, the best geometry ever. So as you'll see, the teacher Desmos starts off, it looks somewhat similar to PowerPoint in the sense that you've got screens that come up along here, and then you've got things that you can add here. So when you make your final lesson, you're probably going to have some graphs in there. This is a great way to do that. I'll show you how to add all of this stuff in week 5 and 6. But for now, what we're going to do is we can just start by adding a quick note. This is sort of like the first screen that people see. You can see that there's no HTML or anything, so you can't make it bold or pretty, but we'll just say, welcome to my, I guess you don't capitalize it. Welcome to my geometry lesson. You can put your name, and that's about it. So now we're going to click on new screen here. So what we want to do is choose an item, and what we're going to choose is under the more here, we're going to put in geometry. You can see if you want to add a marble slice or a card sort, they're under the more button here. For now, we're just going to go to geometry. Okay, so now over here, I have this list of these activities that we want to put one on each of the screens. So the first one I want you to create is this triangle here that has a 20 degree, a 25 degree, and it's labeled A, B, and C. Okay, so in the first one, we want to make a triangle that has a 20-degree angle. I'm just going to draw it out here first. We got a segment here, a segment that's like 20 degrees there. Okay, like that. So what we want is for this one to be 20 degrees, this one to be 25 degrees, and so that's what we're starting with. And this length here is 5. So we don't have to worry about making this 5 right now. The first thing that we need to do is to make sure that this is exactly 20 degrees, which I doubt it is. So let's start out by, I'm going to select this point here, and I'm going to label it A. Notice it just comes off with A. I could label it anything I want. I'm going to do the same thing here. Click on label, and we get B. So here's our A and our B. Now what we want to do is rotate this segment and this point down so that it's exactly 20 degrees, and it stays 20 degrees. So the way you do that is you go to transform here. We're going to define a transformation. It's a rotation. So it says choose a point. Well, we're going to rotate it this way. So we want it around A. And then the angle is going to be -20 because we're going we're going clockwise. And then it says select some objects. Well, we're just going to do point B. And then when I click apply, yay, it worked. So you can see I was off a little bit. So now what we want to do is to create a ray from A to this point here. So I'm going to go back to construct, and I'm going to say ray from A through our new point here. So now what I'm going to do is to just delete this because that was just a starting point. And I'm also going to delete this because that's just a starting point. So now notice that this always stays 20 degrees. Okay, so what I can do now is I can measure that. So I'm going to take this angle here. If we want to measure the angle, you choose a point, one leg, and then the vertex, and then the other leg. So I'm going to say, give me this, and then this, and then that. And notice it says 20 degrees. So that's perfect. So far, so good. Now, the next thing we want to do is to find out where along here it's going to be 25 degrees up that way. So we're going to be rotating it up that way. So I'm going to just hide this point because we don't need it. I don't want to delete it because that will, see if I delete it, that deletes the ray. So I'm going to undo that and I'm just going to hide that. So now what we want to do is, actually, you know what we could do is move this point up here. And then what we want to do is rotate that up to here. So we want to rotate that 20 degrees. Okay, and since that's going in the correct direction this time. So I'm going to do another transform and I'm going to say define transformation, rotation. This time we're looking at this one up here, rotation number 2. Okay, this is the I think that's the angle, I mean that's the center there, and we want to make it 25 degrees and we want to apply it to A here. It looks like it did 25 degrees this way, so let's change that to negative 25 degrees. There we go. So now it's up there, which is exactly what we want. So now we're going to do another ray. Back to my construct here, another ray from here to there. So now what we can see is that our actual point, let's do another angle measurement here. If I measure this angle, if I go this way, that way, bingo, it's 25 degrees, which is exactly what we want. So let's construct a point at this intersection here. And now we can actually delete B here because that one is not the one that we want. Oops, we don't want to do that. Oops, my bad. We don't want to do that. We want to, we can just hide that, okay? So now we actually want to hide this segment here and we want to make a segment from here to there. And now whenever I move this, oops, wrong one here. Let's just undo that. Now, whenever I select this point and I move this A around, notice that the side lengths change, but the measurements don't. So we want this one to be 5. So let's label that. And if you don't label anything, the default is the length here. So let's make this move out to 5. There. Perfect. Nope. I wish sometime, there we go, that's 5, and that's what we needed. We needed a triangle that is 20 degrees, 5 degrees here. I'm gonna label my new point here. I'm actually gonna call this one B, because that's my actual B. And then I'm gonna come over here and label that one C, which is correct, which is great. And so now we wanna just measure the measurement of angle B here. We can do that. We'll say, give me the measurement here of that angle. That's 135, which makes total sense because 20 and 25 is 45. So 180 minus 45 is 135. So that's great. And now we're just going to select, we're going to make a segment here from B to C. And then I'm going to hide this point and this segment because that was just, and then we want to actually hide this ray as well. And make another segment that goes from A to C. So now if I want to know what this length is, once again, I just click on the length, and if I say label, it tells me that's 8.36. And if I click on this one, it's 4.04. So now we have created exactly what we wanted, is a length of 5 with a 20 degree at 25 degrees. So now I've done your first assignment. Hope that helped.